As I work on my larger project of showing how the Enuma Elish is a template, a life cycle template, and how we navigate it for personal self-healing and change in life, I want to take a break right here and address a comment that was made. This is a fun one. I'm not going to identify who the person was. This one is a foil hat comment. And I'm not going to pick on the person. I'm going to read the comment. I'm not going to show the name. But what I want to do is talk about the verse and talk about how to interpret them so that we don't go off like this. This is just crazy stuff. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. And the comment was made on I guess you would call it a fringe document, the Secret Gospel of Mark. I grab all the material from antiquity and read through it, and I'm seeing something in the background. I also see that where stuff was isolated out, pushed away, and stuff was isolated. I'm open to all of it. The Secret Gospel of Mark is okay, but Christians won't look at it, and people that are Gnostics and have some really alternate ideas look at it, and you might hear something like this. He was teaching the youth about the kingdom. We are now learning in these later days that fabric has frequency, with linen having the highest. When we mix fabric in the clothes that we wear, the frequencies cancel each other out. This is why Deuteronomy 21:11 instructs us not to mix linen and wool and explains why it was important for the boy to only be wearing a single fabric. In the kingdom, I assume we will have our existence at a higher frequency. Those born from above can understand the spiritual implications of what Mark was trying to tell us. Those born from below sees everything as a perversion because they are perverted. What? Okay. All right, let's go see if we can recover this verse and see what it's really about. Okay, first thing you bring up Deuteronomy 22. I'm going to go ahead and just bring it up on my computer here. And what we can see, if we go down to verse 11, is indeed it says, "You shall not wear clothes made of wool and linen woven together." So it sounds like you can't have a blend. Cotton poly, you didn't mention there. It's probably all right. But wool and linen, not a good blend. I don't know why that would be. But according to the person, it's frequency. Okay. Let's see how that fits with everything else going on. What was the previous verse? Let's see if these kind of fit together. You shall not plow with an ox and a donkey yoked together. How about the next one afterward? You shall make tassels on the four corners of the cloak with which you cover yourself. Well, interesting. Got some kind of Ezekiel stuff going on there, huh? Tassels on the four corners. Spaceship, obviously. Okay, what I want to say here is that this is just kind of insanity. You get people that are looking for ways to explain things and understand things, and they don't think it through very well. They think really inventively. The mind must be going all over the place, but it's going on this wacko trip. All right, let's interpret the entire thing. But what I want to say right here, first of all, is that number 11, you shall not wear clothes made of wool and linen woven together. We're going to find a Jesus parallel downstream about putting a patch on a rent garment. We have to interpret these. Okay, so first what happens is it says, you shall not watch your neighbor's ox or sheep straying away and ignore them. So if you see your neighbor's animals walking away from you, got to take them back. If the owner doesn't reside near you or you do not know who the owner is, bring him to your own house and keep him there until the owner reclaims it, and then you shall return. Now, we have to think thousands of years ago, my gosh, it would be so valuable to have animals. You might live or die based on whether you had animals or could get some animals to have. You needed milk, you needed cheese, you needed meat. All of that was a part of life. No grocery store. It's very important. This is about the physical world, taking care of your neighbor. This does not play out in a mental hierarchy. You shall do the same with a neighbor's donkey. You shall do the same with a neighbor's garment. And you shall do the same with anything else that your neighbor loses and you find. You may not withhold your help. If I turn this into my psyche and try to find some way of playing it out there, I cannot find a way for it to fit. This is about the physical world. This is admonishing me to be a good neighbor. You shall not see your neighbor's donkey or ox fall on the road and ignore it. You shall help to lift it up. You should have vestiges of a Good Samaritan story there. Now, watch this. A woman shall not wear a man's apparel, nor shall a man put on a woman's garment, for whoever does such things is aberrant to the Lord your God. Didn't this just make a big leap from you got to be a good neighbor to now don't cross-dress? This is where it's a transitional step that's happening, and we go into the mental hierarchy. The man is everyone's consciousness. It doesn't matter whether you are male or female, child, age, whatever. The conscious thinking mind is the man. The woman is the inner being and is really our accumulation of memories that we're living through. That's the bundle of our memories. So if we interpret this, you have to interpret these if they will interpret. You do not leave them looking like this. You can if you want to. Who cares? You're not going to get the real meaning out of it. There's a deeper meaning that isn't of the physical world. It's of the spiritual world. Let's change these. A woman shall not wear a man's apparel, nor shall a man put on a woman's garment, for whoever does such things is aberrant to the Lord your God. Let's change it. The inner self shall not accumulate what the consciousness puts on it, nor shall the consciousness live through the experiences that the woman's have put on from its own experience. Don't be unaware. Don't live through your experiences, for whoever does such things is aberrant to the Lord your God. Do you see and hear, judge not lest ye be judged, for the judgment with which you judge others will be judged likewise to you. This is a cause and effect. Don't be unaware. Don't live through your experiences, for whoever does such things is aberrant to the Lord your God. The Lord your God is, you have to make a transitional step. That's a higher awareness. This is something that we need to know, that life is not going to be okay if we're doing this. What this means is you have not turned inward. This is anybody that's living through turmoil. This would be you are wearing, the man and the woman are wearing each other's apparel, or the consciousness and the subconscious are experiencing constant turmoil from what the life experiences have been judged as and have been stored as, right there. If you come upon a bird's nest in any tree or on the ground, with fledglings or eggs, with the mother sitting on the fledglings or on the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. Let the mother go, taking only the young for yourself, in order that it may go well with you and that they may live long. So you want those to live long. You want you're looking for some fledglings here. I'm not quite sure on this one, the bird's nest. This is way back in time, and I don't find parallels for this one. But there's something about the idea that you're leaving the mother behind and taking the young with you, taking something new, taking something, I don't know. It's not physical, it's spiritual. We'll leave that one for now. When you build a new house, this is us building our new structure. We have torn down our old self. I have let all that stuff go, but I need to have a new life. I can't just tear down my own life and do nothing. I'll go back to my old life. I need to replace my old life with a new life. I am building a new house. I'm building a new life. You shall make a protection for it. Otherwise, you might have, anyone should fall from it. You want to protect this house. A house built on a strong foundation cannot fall. You shall not sow your vineyard with two kinds of seed, or the whole yield will be forbidden, both the crop that you have sown and the yield of the vineyard itself. Now, in the King James Version, they're using a term throughout here, divers, D-I-V-E-R-S. Just call it diversity. Divers diseases would be like, well, I've got two different kind of sicknesses at the same time. I've got leprosy and I'm blind. That would be a diver's disease. One by itself is not. So what we're looking for is two things that are different, that are not the same. So this is saying, you shall not sow your vineyard. What is my vineyard? What is sowing my vineyard? My vineyard is my life experience. You shall not sow your vineyard. I shall not live my life with two kinds of seed, good and bad. Make a choice, stick with one, or the whole yield will be forbidden. Life is either good or bad, and if it's a little bad, it's not okay. It's good when it is good. Both the crop that you have sown and the yield of the vineyard itself. So you don't put two kinds of lifestyles into yourself, or beliefs, or conflicts. You shall not plow an ox with a donkey and a donkey yoked together, with an ox and a donkey yoked together. We become parts of these. We need to plow. We need to create furrows in our gardens, our inner gardens. And anyway, this is just saying you don't put two different things together for plowing, for doing the work. If up here you've got the wrong kind of seed, down here you need to plow, you find one way to plow, you find one way to clear it out. You shall not wear clothes made of wool and linen woven together. This should now just be like, okay, I get it. Clothes are what? What I cover myself up in the spiritual world, my pain, my shame. I got joy and I got shame both together. I'm a blend. I'm a spiritual blend. You shall make tassels on the four corners of the cloak with which you cover yourself. I'm not sure what those four tassels are for, but if we go to a Jesus teaching, you will not wear clothes made of wool and linen woven together. What we have is, it's the one where Jesus is telling parables. And what does it do? The Pharisees ask him some questions about fasting, and then Jesus goes on and does something different. He transitions from outer looking to inward looking. We saw that same thing right here. They're talking about making sure to be a good neighbor. Then all of a sudden it transitions with that don't wear clothes, don't wear each other's clothes, which is don't take on each other. The inner self needs to be pure from the thinking up here, and the thinking up here needs to be pure from what comes out of it because it creates turmoil. That's what that means at the spiritual level. If you don't interpret it, you're stuck with something else. To make sure to cover all the bases, the Jesus one, in those type of verses, we become that. He talks about the wine and the wineskin and the garment and the patch at that time. That we are the wineskin. Wine is our life experience. When we put ourselves into the verse this way and always interpret them and find the way that they fit into the mind, they're going to be that way. But that we know we are parts of that verse. I am the wineskin. What is inside of me? I cannot put new wine in old wineskin. Otherwise, the new wine will be ruined. You cannot put new life into your old self or you're going to screw it up. It's going to be bad. You have to put new life experience into a new self in order for it to be okay. Then we move into the garment. You cannot put a patch on a torn garment. Otherwise, they'll both be destroyed. I am the garment. I am the jacket. I'm old and I've got a tear on me, but I'm just trying to put a patch on it. That's not going to work. I need a new garment. That's when Jesus says, I'm not here to rid, but to uphold the teachings of the past. It's at this level. You're stuck living a life in the physical world trying to, it'll make sense to you in some way that you make sense of it. But if you treat it the same way as all other spiritual verse that comes online as something that is different. So, all of these should be mentally interactive for self-healing verses. People that are finding magical, mystical things in them, there are people that believe them to be true. Look at it this way. Take a fable and treat it like it's true, never trying to understand what is in there. That is what is happening here, except that there's a difference in the emotional connection to the material. Well, you know what? Actually, I know there's a lot more to it than that. That is certainly true, but the material does things that help people. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video was to say, you know what? There is something in common in here that people can't see. It's incredibly old. It's hard to understand what they were doing. We are so much in modern day biases that I can't emphasize enough how difficult it is. We have to go get into their shoes. We got to go be little kids in their world, listening to the story and trying to pretend like we have it memorized and look at everything in there, and that it's about us and it's for us, that it is our guru. That it is our guru if we know how to read it, and that we find God. But God comes through a state of mental purity, of forgiveness, not of holding on to and glomming onto and angrily judging and saying this is God's will. Nope. Okay, so everybody's using it wrong, unless you're a Buddhist that doesn't even know what it says. Then you're doing it right because you're doing what? You're letting go of things. That's what we're supposed to do here too. See you in the next video.